Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon. If you're a new viewer, hi, welcome, happy to have you. If you're a returning viewer, hi, thank you for returning. I am here for my Spoopathon vlog, so I hope you enjoy this. Spoopathon is a readathon hosted by Spoopy Hall. If I keep looking out the window, it's because there's people walking past and I'm just like trying not to be distracted by them, but it's really hard. So Spoopathon is a readathon hosted by Spoopy Hall, and it is really fun. It's Camp Spoopathon. There is a map, there's prompts, it's great. And yeah, I'm really excited for this readathon. So the first book I decided to go with is The Reckless Afterlife of Harriet Stoker by Lauren James. This is a paranormal contemporary novel. It's very hard to pinpoint what this actually is. This book follows Harriet Stoker, who is a photography major, and for her college course she decides to go to this run down abandoned building, Malcher Hall, and she didn't really know the history of this place, but essentially people died here. This was a college dorm and there was a lot of unexplained deaths, and all the people that have died there are still ghosts that live there. Now, the ghosts in this are really interesting because they turn into shells if they don't have any energy, but when someone dies, there's like a fresh wave of energy that can revive these ghosts. If there's no energy and they stay shells, eventually they will disintegrate. These ghosts all have specific powers, and the powers kind of manifest from their personalities, which is really interesting. And so we have Felix, Casper, Rima, Leah, and Chi, and they are all like kind of like a tight-knit group, and Harriet kind of comes in and messes things up in the most interesting ways. This is told in multiple points of view, so we get the points of view of most of the cast of characters. There is also this like inner monologue of someone telling us that things go to shit, but we don't know how, and we don't know who it is telling us this. I have suspicions that it's Leah, because Leah's power is to see the past, present, and future. I believe it could be Leah telling us the future before it happens, or it could be Leah telling us the past from the future, which I think would be really interesting. Harriet isn't really taken to the afterlife that well. She wants to get back to her grandma who is ill and needs her help, and she wants to go to her grand's house because that's where her parents died, and she feels like she could be there with their ghosts. And she is determined to get out of this building, but if she leaves this building, if any of them leave the building, they will disintegrate. There is quite an interesting dynamic because Harriet can come across as a little bit selfish, but it's really kind of situational, because if you just died and there's this whole group of friends that are already established and you want to go home to your family, you are going to think about yourself. But she's breaking all of the rules and shaking things up, and the whole friend group is kind of like really intensely watching her because she is starting to do things that are like basement worthy. If a ghost is doing something wrong and breaking the rules, they get sent to the basement where they have to stay there. So it's really interesting dynamics. It's a very interesting take on ghosts. The characters are really well written so far. They're also different, and it comes across in the narrative that these group of friends wouldn't have been friends if they were humans, but as ghosts they've became sort of a close-knit family, and I really enjoy that. And there's also like this ambiance of worse things to come, and you're starting to get into the darker side of Harriet and what she's doing, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it, and this was a recommendation. I will put who I got the recommendation from off on the screen. I've completely forgotten. And like I seen this and it fits so well with the prompts because this works for Ghostly. Read at night. I started this midnight on Monday, and I do most of my reading at night anyway because I read at night before I go to work, and I start work at 9:30, so I read for like an hour before I go to work majority of the days, especially if there's a readathon. I do try and get some time in before I go to work, and so I'm reading this mostly at night, but not specifically all the time at night. This also counts for Queer Rep Buddy Read. I'm buddy reading this with Sephi over at What If He Reads. They will be linked down below as always. And what was it? Queer Buddy Recommendation, Ghostly, and Read at Night. So this is covering 5 prompts, which means with this book alone, I'm hitting 0.12 on the map, and I am getting 3 bonus points, which means that I am so close. I'm 25 points away from being able to defeat the bad guy, I think. I will have a card in the corner explaining in better, probably more precise detail what this counts, what my points are, and how I'm doing. So essentially, I would have to read 129 pages every day this week in order to complete my TBR, but I knew that there was a chance that I would fall behind on my work days, which is completely fine, and I'm gonna have to probably catch up at the weekend. I am currently, where am I? I'm currently 224 pages in, and I should be at like the 390 page mark today. Is it Wednesday? Yeah, so it's Wednesday. I should be at the 329 page mark, but I'm not. And I'm okay with that. I'm going to try and read some of this before I go to work tonight. Whatever I don't complete during my work week, I will catch up at the weekend, because I have to kind of read 2 books this weekend in order to complete what I would like to complete. But also, it's kind of nice because between this book and Camp Carnage, which is going to be my second book of this readathon, I will complete the whole trail and make it to the log cabin. So with 2 books, I have this readathon done. I added Manhunt just as an extra for ambitiousness, or I don't know, punishment, you decide. So I can do this readathon in 2 books, which is a great fallback to feel like I can complete it without having to stress myself out. But I would like to aim for the 3 books. So I will come back once I have finished this book. I don't know when that's going to be, hopefully soon, and tell you all my thoughts and tell you how I felt about this book come the ending and wrap up all my thoughts. So I will see you in just a second. I'm back with some exciting book mail, and I am going to share them with you now before I have to run off. So the first book I got was The Ghosts That Ate Us by Daniel Kraus. And this follows a Burger City franchise that has poltergeists running around in it. This is the lead up to a murder that left 6 people dead. This is the true story of, I don't actually believe it's a true story, of the activity leading up to these murders, why these murders happened. Is there anything supernatural about it, or is it just people spreading rumours and gossip? This sounds really good, and I'm very interested in it. And it came down in price on Amazon, so I was like, I'm gonna buy it while it's slightly cheaper, because you know me, I love a bargain. And then I have a pre-order that came in. It is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. This is obviously one that I am excited about. I have read quite a bit of Ruth Ware's work, and I pre-ordered this when it was first announced. And it says, it was Hannah who found April's body 10 years ago. It was Hannah who didn't question what she saw that day. Did her testimony put an innocent man in prison? She needs to know the truth, even if it means questioning her own friends, even if it means putting her own life at risk. Because if the killer wasn't a stranger, could it be someone she knows? I love a murder mystery. I have never gave Ruth Ware anything more than a 3.5 star, but I enjoy her work. I know what I'm getting into. It's fun, it's fast-paced, it's easy to read, and it's just like a snippet of mystery thrillers. So yeah, I am very excited for this one too. So that is the 2 books that I have received this week. My little tiny haul. And I hope to get to these fairly soon, but I can't this week or this month because it's Spoopathon and Aurelium. I have not read much more of Harriet yet, so my plan is to hopefully finish it tonight and come back and update you when I have actually finished it. And hopefully tomorrow, it's Friday today, so hopefully tomorrow I can start on Camp Carnage. But I will check in with you soon, and hopefully I will have finished my first book of the Readathon.
That girl is the one I wanna be with. Didn't know it till she was already leaving. On a train going south, 10 minutes ago. I'm so bad at making conversation. I couldn't ask her for her number or her name, and I don't know if she just wants me to leave her alone. But I'll go sit in that subway station, open a book to look sophisticated. Maybe she might come to me one day. I'll probably say something dumb like, do you come here often? 'Cause I get so stupid in love when...
Hello, I am back because I finally finished my first book of the Readathon. I finished The Reckless Afterlife of Harriet Stoker, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this a 4 stars. This was a surprise to me. I took this off of a recommendation. It fit a lot of prompts, and I was interested in The Next Together by this author when it was really hyped on booktube, so I'm really glad that I've picked up something from this author, because now I will probably pick up more in the future. But this was really good. I really specifically enjoyed all the characters. They were all diverse, very well written, and they were a team that came together that really just made you feel like they were found family, which I really enjoyed. This really surprised me, and the paranormal haunted ghost aspect was really interesting. I can safely say I have not met ghosts that are like this, because in this there is ghosts, they all have superpowers depending on their personalities. They also turn it into shells if they don't get fresh energy, and then eventually they disintegrate into atoms. And I've never really read any ghost stories that involve this kind of mythology of ghosts, and it was very interesting and very well written. I really enjoyed this. I keep saying, but I think it's just because I'm so surprised how much enjoyment I got out of this, considering I picked it up on a whim and off of a recommendation, not knowing much about it. I am so happy that I did. I recommend this if you're looking for a found family friendship that is centered around a decrepit, rundown building, and there is ghosts, and there is a dark theme running through that not all ghosts are happy and content being what they are and where they are, and it delves deeper into kind of like how a ghost can turn dark. So I highly recommend this if you are looking for something like that. So my plan was to start Camp Carnage, but my uterus decided to kill me today, so I have not started it yet. And I do think Camp Carnage is my best bet because it's only like 188 pages, and if I finish that, it means that I've completed the path and made it to the log cabin. But I also have here Manhunt, and if I complete this, I would still complete the path and get to the log cabin. The only thing is this is longer. I think this is 300 pages, and it's fairly like condensed text, and I don't know if I would be able to conceivably read this in like a day, because it's now Saturday. I have done not much with my day apart from edit and upload a video and do a little bit of research for a planner that I am dying to have in my hands. Apart from that, I've done nothing. So I could read this and potentially not complete the readathon, but also knock off a longer book on my TBR, or I could read Camp Carnage and still complete the readathon and knock off a shorter book, which would be the easier option. So I will come back once I have decided what I'm reading, either this or Camp Carnage, and tell you my thoughts on whatever one wins. I will see how I feel. Hopefully whatever one I pick I will be able to complete by midnight tomorrow, which gives me 26 hours to read one book. We'll have to wait and see. And I am back to finally wrap up this Spoopathon vlog. I ended up reading Camp Carnage and I gave this a 3.5 stars. I did enjoy it for what it was. This was a very intense book, but I feel like it could have been more urgent. So in this book, we follow multiple perspectives as these group of queer campers go to Camp Carnage, which is a correction camp, and we get prologues from the past of this camp of people dying, and then we join these campers in 1989, I believe, and we get to know all of these characters separately and their struggles and what they're going through, and then the campers start to die and no one knows who or why. This was really interestingly told. It was such a short book. It was only 188 pages. So it was such a short book. It lacked a little bit of urgency for me. The characters were very interesting. The setting was very interesting. And at the time this was set in, obviously, the AIDS crisis was at an all-time high. So because of this, being queer at that time took on a whole new meaning, especially for gay men. And this is told in the narrative that obviously there's a lot of reasons why parents would send their kids to a camp like this, none that are justifiable, but at this time a lot of them were there for all different reasons. This book really had a lot of history and the characters were really well done, the setting was really well done. I just feel like it lacked urgency, and the twist of who done it or why they done it wasn't actually as exciting as I had expected it to be, which was a little bit of a letdown. And it took a little bit longer to read than what I was hoping. I went with this book because it was 188 pages and I felt like I would be luckier to get through this and complete Spoopathon. And when I say I completed Spoopathon by the skin of my teeth, I mean I finished this book at 5 to 12 on Sunday, so I just made it. I was going to read it. I wasn't going to go to bed till I read it anyway, so I was going to count it as completed, but I managed to make it officially. And yeah, I gave this 3.5 star. It was fine. It's a fun, not really fun read. I don't really know how to categorize this. It was an interesting read with interesting characters set in a very intense, scary place, because not only because of the killings that are happening, but because of the intention of the camp. So if you're looking for a queer story that follows multiple POVs, that has a very intense look on to queerness in the 1980s and what it was like back then I would suggest this book. I would also suggest looking up content warnings before you go into this. And yeah, I am glad that I read this for Spoopathon. So I managed to read The Reckless Afterlife of Harriet Stoker and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. This completed ghostly, read at night, queer, recommended, buddy read, and it defeated the killer. And I think there was something else. I will put the card here again. And Camp Carnage was meant to be my thrilling book, and Manhunt was meant to be my murder, but because I didn't make it to Manhunt, I am counting Camp Carnage as my thriller and murder read. I managed to read 2 books, and it was roughly about 600 pages in a week, which is a lot for me, and also during a work week is a lot, and physical. So I'm really impressed with myself. I am very proud that I managed to make it at the cabin and just chill out with all the final survivors. And I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and I hope you enjoyed this vlog and coming along with me as I read these books and participated in this readathon. Thank you so much, Spoopy Hall, for hosting. I love taking part in your readathons. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to stay safe, happy and healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Pick it up from the top.